How's it going, everybody? And let's now continue with Monday's study. I just did Sundays a few minutes ago. So let's continue on with Paul's saga and his appealing to Caesar, and they're going to send him now to Rome. For it makes no sense to send a prisoner to the emperor without specifying the charges against him. Then Agrippa said to Paul, "You may speak in your defense." So Paul, gesturing with his hand, started his defense. "I am fortunate, King Agrippa, that you are the one hearing my defense today against all these accusations made by the Jewish leaders, for I know you are an expert in all Jewish customs and controversies or controversies. Now, please listen to me patiently. As the Jewish leaders are well aware, I was given a thorough Jewish training in my earliest childhood among my own people and in Jerusalem. Remember, he was a Pharisee. If they would admit it, they know that I have been a member of the Pharisees, the strictest sect of our religion. Now I am on trial because of my hope in the fulfillment of God's promise made to our ancestors. I want to read that because I always equate hope to simply you hope you're a sheep. Now I stand and am judged for the hope of the promise made of our God and of our fathers. So he hopes he's part of the promise. It's not that he doesn't trust the promise or question if there's a God or any of that. I now stand and am judged for the hope, which he hopes he's a sheep. He hopes he's a sheep of the promise made of God and unto our fathers. That's the previous study. Hang on just a second. Anyway, I took a break and not sure where I left off, but we did cover, I think, what the hope is, the way it's worded here, because of my hope in the fulfillment. You don't hope that God's going to keep his promise. You're not like, well, I hope God's telling the truth, or I hope there's a God, or I hope all this stuff is real. No. That's why when I read it in that lesser, watered down, fake false translation, which again sometimes actually tells the truth better, like Romans 9:16 does, that there's no free will for salvation. It's spelled out more plainly. But this translation has a tendency to water things down and then not to give the exact truth of the matter. And so that's why we say when it doesn't sound right in the New Living, we take it to the King James. And again, if that isn't, if that's still ambiguous, like John 3:16 is, because God doesn't love every person born on the earth, he only loves a sheep, but it's for God so loved cosmos in the Greek. And hang on just a quick second. And the cosmos means harmonious arrangement, or at least that's the first usage and the definition. That's blueletterbible.com, Strong's Concordance, all of that. All right. And so back to it. And now I'm on trial because of the hope of the fulfillment of God's promise to our ancestors. Again, not properly written. The hope of my salvation, which would be the fulfillment of God's promise made to our ancestors. In fact, that is why the 12 tribes of Israel zealously worship God day and night, and they share the same hope I have. Yet, your majesty, they accuse me of having this hope. Interesting. Yeah, it seems like it was wasn't it just the Sadducees that wanted him put to death? And now I stand trial and am judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers, unto which promise our 12 tribes instantly serving God day and night hope to come. For which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews. And again, the Pharisees believed in a resurrection, but the Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. Sadducees do not believe in the resurrection. Since those books do not explicitly discuss an afterlife, the Sadducees have become committed to the teaching that there was no resurrection and no afterlife. Life simply ended with death, and there was no more. They also do not believe in spirits or angels. Acts 23:8. And that was part of Paul's whole deal, because we're in Acts 25 now. And this has been a continuing story. The Pharisees did believe in a resurrection. Yes, the Pharisees believed in the resurrection of the dead. So then it was only the Sadducees that wanted Paul dead. Acts 23:6. And Paul, knowing some of them, Paul realized some of the members of the high council were Sadducees and some were Pharisees, and shouted, "Brothers, I'm a Pharisee." Anyway, just thought it was interesting. Let's continue on with our Revelation study. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb, which is in the midst of the throne, shall feed them. And see, this is all about the entire church. So if you see yesterday's study, you get into the very layers and complexity of how Revelation is John's vision. It's not necessarily actually how everything, this is just the vision he saw. And he is being shown the things that are to come. But some of it is possibly, in my opinion, just a vision, or just abstract, figurative language and speech and visions of what actually will be, if that makes sense. For the Lamb is in the midst of the throne, shall feed them and shall lead them into the living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe away all tears of their eyes. Well, that's after they see judgment. So is that only just those that went through the Great Tribulation? So you saw how in yesterday's study, it was just those. That's why I say it's abstract, figurative, layered. It's three-dimensional chess. It's not an exact science to understand the end times prophecy. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. Now you're going to get God's cleansing of the earth. Seven trumpets, seven bowls, seven vials. Seven's the number for cleansing, and the earth is about to be cleansed. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with all the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar, which was before God and of the throne, which was before, the altar which was before the throne of all the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Thank you. That's what I get for daydreaming. I was thinking about something else, some other stuff going on in my life. And the Lord's in charge of all of it. So God's will be done. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with the fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and earthquakes. And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail mingled with fire. Again, this is about the cleansing of the earth, because then after this cleansing, Jesus will spend the 1,000-year reign with the church. Now, is it a literal 1,000 years? Who knows? Because we had already read where, or before judgment, it is said that there is time no more. Time no more. Well, it seems to be in there a lot, isn't it? So, and it's not in Revelation. So let's just go to, hang on, I'll find it for you. Well, let's do a Google search. And there is time no more, Revelation. It's 10:6. Yeah, we haven't got there yet. I didn't think so, but it is before judgment. And I swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created the heaven and the things that they're in, and the earth and the things that they're in, and the sea and the things that they're in, that there should be time no longer. So there's no more that dimension of time. So if there's no dimension of time here in Revelation 10, then when you get to the 1,000-year millennial reign in Revelation 20, is it a literal 1,000 years? Could be, or could not be. I don't sit there and argue things like that with people. And when people try to tell you they know exactly what's going on, be aware of those kind of people, please. The first angel sounded, and there was hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the grass was burnt up. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.